Welcome back to the Case IQ Compliance Monitoring Academy. In Module 3 of this series, we'll dive into the types of risks that compliance monitoring is designed to catch, and why these risks can be so hard to spot without it. Compliance programs exist to manage real business risk that lives in your operations every day. And while policies and controls help set the guardrails, risks can still slip through. That's where compliance monitoring adds value. By continuously scanning for unusual or risky activity in your business transactions from your financial systems, it helps spot problems that might otherwise go undetected. Whether it's data from your enterprise resource planning systems or ERPs like SAP or Oracle, or your travel and expense reimbursement systems like Concur, compliance monitoring applies dozens of risk analytics and AI to each transaction to determine whether it represents a risk of non-compliance. Let's start with bribery and corruption. Say an employee sets up a consulting agreement with a third party who, on paper, looks legitimate. But behind the scenes, that third party is owned by a government official or a relative of a government official. Or maybe the vendor is charging 3 times the market rate for their services, with the overage used to funnel bribes. These types of schemes often leave clues in the data, where the payments made to the third party may be unusual based on a combination of multiple risk indicators. Compliance monitoring is trained to find them. Kickbacks are another common risk. Maybe an internal employee is steering work to a particular vendor, and in return, they're receiving thank you payments off the books. The vendor may be inflating invoices to generate the excess proceeds to share with the employee. When you're only reviewing data months after the fact, or not at all, this behavior can persist unchecked. Monitoring helps spot these patterns early. Internal fraud, embezzlement, and asset misuse don't always come in the form of big schemes. Sometimes it's someone submitting the same expense twice, or charging personal expenses to the company card without proper documentation. These aren't always caught in audits, but unusual indicators may show up in transaction data. Sanctions violations can be particularly tricky. An order may be placed with your company by a distributor that does not appear on a sanctions list and does not operate in a sanctioned country. But when the order is processed, the ship-to address may point to a sanctioned country or to a known transshipment hub near one, raising red flags. Compliance monitoring can not only scan your vendors, distributors, and customers against sanctions databases, but can look for unusual facts and patterns deeper in the transactional data that might indicate sanctions violations. Conflicts of interest often fly under the radar. Maybe an employee is funneling business to a company owned by a spouse and has failed to disclose that conflict of interest through the company's required disclosure process. However, when that company is set up as a vendor, it may be an LLC with a business address, but the phone number matches the employee's home phone number. When a conflict is not reported, monitoring of data can surface relationships that raise red flags. When sales pressure is high, so is the temptation to bend the rules. Compliance monitoring helps flag suspicious activity, such as a spike in sales at quarter end or year end, that's followed by a flood of returns, commonly known as channel stuffing. These types of anomalies in sales are extremely difficult to spot without the use of compliance monitoring using analytics and AI. And finally, there's growing focus on human rights in the supply chain. Compliance monitoring can help flag suppliers based in high-risk regions or identify exceptionally low commercial terms that may indicate unethical labor sourcing. It's another layer of visibility that helps protect your business and your values. Compliance monitoring doesn't replace your controls. It strengthens them by making risk detection faster, smarter, and continuous.
In our next 2 modules, modules 4 and 5, we'll look at how this works in practice, how Case IQ helps teams complement their audits and investigations with compliance monitoring.